Hi, my name is Deneen, and I'm so glad you're here today. Today's video is a story. It's story time. It's called Saving a Life, the Power of a Word. And it was told by the pastor of my church, the Calimesa Seventh-day Adventist Church, Pastor Darren Thurber. And he's doing a series on rebuilding and the power of words. And this story just touched my heart so deeply that I wanted to share it with you. This is not the video I had planned for today, but I just did a quick change because I think this story is one that we can all be blessed from, I hope. Audrey Turner taught or teaches in Moore Park, Southern California at a community college, music theory and piano. And she remembers the day that Edward entered her classroom, 6 feet tall, really sad looking boy, pitiful, she says. And he entered the classroom, walked into the back of the class, sat down with his head down, his arms crossed over his chest, and he pretty much was that way every day through the semester. On the days that he came, he often didn't even make it to class. And he did really poorly on everything. She never saw him talking to anyone. She would see him across campus by himself, even eating his lunch, sitting completely alone. Sometimes she would go and try to join him for a little bit. She was determined to connect with him. She had a feeling that he needed someone to connect. And she one day noticed that as he was leaving, she saw maybe the beginnings of a little bit of a smile. And she kept at it, and she noticed that the more interest she showed in him, he started doing a little bit better. The semester progressed, and it came time for the final exam. And she told the students that the next Tuesday they should come to her office where she would give them their final grade at 9 a.m. and she would talk to them about their grade, have like a little mini private conference. Edward was the last student to do his exam, and while she saw him there, or to finish his exam, while she saw him there struggling, she prayed for him silently. Oh, how she wanted to give him a good grade. But when she graded it, the grade that he earned overall in the class was in fact a D. That weekend she struggled with this. She couldn't get Edward out of her mind. And so she didn't even write his grade on his final paper, his final exam. Well, Tuesday morning came and the students started coming in, and she kept opening the door, letting them in. Then the next one would come, and she kept waiting for Edward, and he didn't come. And she waited as long as she thought she could, and he finally came. And she said that she packed up her things to go. And suddenly she heard something, and she turned, and there was Edward. And he said, I came to get my grade. I know that I did really badly. I didn't participate. I know that I did really poorly in this class. And he was just she said his hair was messy, he had dark circles under his eyes. He wasn't wearing fresh, clean clothing. He looked a mess. And she said, Edward, your grade is an A. And he said, what? What do you mean it's an A? And she said, it's an A. You have an A. He says, why would you give me an A? I know I don't have an A. And she said, well, Edward, on paper, you might look like a D student, but I know you are an A person. And she said, I want you to know I'm here for you. I'm always going to be here for you. And I love you. He left. She received a phone call later from a pastor, a priest from Edward's church. And he said, is this Audrey Turner, Edward's music theory teacher? And he said, you saved Edward's life. She said, what? Edward had planned to end his life that day. He was planning to come and see you for the last time. And he had already left a note on his pillow saying goodbye to his family. You see, Edward has an older brother who has always been very jealous of him and has bullied him and treated him so terribly all their lives. And so Edward has no self-esteem. He's struggled his whole life, and his parents own a business. And quite frankly, I think they haven't had the time or energy to tend to this situation. Edward came back to school the next semester and retook Miss Turner's class. He stayed and tutored students in the class 3 days a week who needed help. He got a 100% the second go around. And today, Edward is a successful dentist in Southern California, married with a family who spends all his spare time, or much of his spare time, helping abused children. As we are entering the end of our school year, I know we're overwhelmed with grades and report cards and final grades, and it's hard. Do we give them what they need, what they have on paper? When is it appropriate to give them what they actually earned? When is it appropriate to give them what we think they've earned, to grade them for their effort? And it's hard to know. So we pray for wisdom, tons of wisdom, so that we do the right thing for our students. Our words make a difference. I found a quote by a politician of all things. Isn't it nice to find something by a politician these days? This is by Bob Kerrey. I'd never heard of him. He's a Nebraskan governor and former U.S. Senator. He says, his name is Bob Kerrey. Unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. So if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're a student, thank you for being an agent of change to the people with whom you come in contact. And Wonderful Stanley will link this story for you so you can read it in its entirety. But I'm thankful that you came today, and I hope that this story is something that touched your heart as it did mine. And I look forward to being together with you again very soon.